As we begin conversations about how to achieve a positive impact on young people who are experiencing homelessness, it's often worth taking a second to define the basic characteristics, the makeup of the population around which we are trying to design policies and practices that will meet their needs. There are several characteristics here in Chicago that make it unique, around which there may need to be unique programmatic and policy solutions to addressing the issue. One of the most important elements that distinguishes Chicago from other places is the fact that almost 65% of youth who are homeless in Chicago are African American. That's more than twice of the general population. So you've got young people here that are twice as likely to be homeless from the Black community than you would anticipate. And the opportunity here is to really think about where these young people live, where they come from, where the challenges begin. One of the other important characteristics here in Chicago is the large number of young people who report being LGBTQ. In Chicago, we found that about 20% of young people reported that they were gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgendered, or questioning. And so in that context, again, tailoring our public policies as well as our programs to address their needs are critical, as is thinking through the geographic location and where we best address their needs. About 50% of young people experiencing homelessness report that they have either experienced the juvenile justice system, the foster care system, or both. And so for those young people, they've been exposed to a ton of trauma. They've been displaced several times from their community of origin and their biological family. And so helping them put down roots, helping them feel a part of a community, helping them see the value that they can contribute to their community under these circumstances are really critical. So one of the important issues that emerges from the work that we've done in Chicago is the number of youth who are homeless relative to the number of beds that are available on any given evening for them to take shelter. Our estimate was that there was about 770 young people who were homeless on the day that we did the count. However, the provider survey that we conducted told us that there were less than 150 beds available for youth 18 to 25, and there were less than 30 beds available for young people 18 or younger. So there's clearly a greater demand for shelter than there are beds available in Chicago. So that's why it's really exciting to have Covenant House establishing program in East Garfield Park. As a community, they lack a ton of resources, and so establishing youth programming on the West Side could be really beneficial to the community, the residents, and ultimately be the kind of beacon in the community that you need to really change the outcomes for young people who really need the help and really would benefit from these additional resources. So the work that Covenant House will be engaging in is really important. It's a necessary asset in a community that really needs it. And I would just encourage Covenant House to elevate 4 principles. One is authentic engagement. Young people see themselves as individuals and unique. And so programming and supporting them really does call for Covenant House to recognize them and engage them in the unique person that they are. They're also looking for flexibility. They want to be able to move in and out of programs and services as their situation evolves. Third, that trust. You'll have to build trust with young people. It's not something that is given, it is something that is earned. And so young people want to make decisions and work with people who they trust. And so building that trust from the beginning is really essential. And options. There's not only one way to achieve a particular outcome. And young people who have faced the adversity that they have recognize that they haven't taken one pathway to the person and situation that they are in today. And so they want options. They want the ability to choose the sequence of services, the term and duration of those services, the kind of support that they will receive through those services. I think if Covenant House can do those four things, engage, have flexibility, build trusting relationships, and giving young people options, I have no doubt that Covenant House can be successful and make an important contribution on the west side of Chicago.
Good evening. I'm Julie Dworkin. I'm the Director of Policy for the Chicago Coalition for the Homeless. I've worked at CCH for 25 years. CCH is a 40-year-old advocacy organization committed to addressing the root causes of homelessness. We organize people with lived experience of homelessness to advocate for public policy changes. We also have a law project that does individual and class action cases to support the rights of people experiencing homelessness. CCH has had a youth committee since the early 80s focusing on young people ages 14 to 24 who are unaccompanied by their parents and experiencing homelessness. The Youth Committee advocates for funding to address youth homelessness as well as policies that remove barriers to escaping homelessness for young people. Many people ask about the scope of youth homelessness in the city of Chicago. The city does an annual point-in-time count every January to count those who are homeless on one night. However, this count does not include most youth who experience homelessness in Chicago. We know that most youth who become homeless do not end up on the street or in the very limited shelter beds that the city has for youth. Most youth are living doubled up or couch surfing, temporarily staying with others because they've lost their housing. So CCH came up with a way to estimate the number of people who are living doubled up in Chicago using census data. Our most current estimate is for the year 2019, right before the pandemic. In that year, there were 13,966 unaccompanied homeless youth ages 14 to 24 in Chicago. Of those, 1,260 were served in the shelter system, and the remaining 12,706 were living doubled up with others. I've been asked to talk about some of the policy initiatives we're working on that impact homeless youth. One area we do a lot of work on when it comes to homeless youth is improving their ability to succeed in school. This year in Springfield, we passed the College Access Bill that requires all colleges and universities in Illinois to have a homeless liaison at the school who works to support youth in college who are experiencing homelessness to keep them from dropping out. They will work to help them transition from high school to college and to link them to services and housing resources. This bill also gives homeless students priority for on-campus housing and allows them to stay there during school breaks. This year, we will also be working on another education-related bill, which would ensure that charter schools must follow the same rules as public schools and allow fee waivers for all homeless and low-income students at the school so that they're not saddled with fees for books and computers and other school needs that they can't afford. Another area that we're working on is related to the issue I talked about earlier regarding how youth experience homelessness. Because the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development does not consider doubled up to be homeless, most youth who are experiencing homelessness in Chicago can't access housing resources. We're working on an effort to bring our method of estimating those living doubled up to other parts of the country to have them complete local estimates and bring attention to this issue, with the ultimate goal of building a base of support to change the federal definition of homelessness to include those who are doubled up. We are also working locally to get our local homeless program to count time that youth are living doubled up as time homeless when they're determining who has been homeless the longest and who should get housed first. I also want to mention work that our organizing department is doing to identify new areas to address related to youth homelessness. We have a group of grassroots leaders who are youth who are doing a participatory research project in which they are interviewing homeless youth in Chicago to find out what their greatest concerns are in order to develop a future campaign that they will work on and engage other youth in. Finally, I want to mention our Bring Chicago Home campaign, which is our campaign to create a large dedicated funding stream in Chicago for permanent supportive housing, which is affordable housing with services attached. We have never had a significant local investment to address homelessness in Chicago, and there's other cities around the country, including LA, New York, San Francisco, and Denver, who are putting millions of local dollars towards solving homelessness. In addition, with local funding, we will not be hampered by HUD's definition of homelessness and can serve everyone who is homeless. We are currently working to increase the city's real estate transfer tax, which is a one-time sales tax when you buy or sell a property. We want to increase the tax on properties over $1 million and use the money to create permanent supportive housing. We need everyone to get involved to push this effort through the City Council, so please look us up at bringchicagohome.org to get involved. Thanks so much, and thanks for joining the Sleep Out.
Hello everybody, my name is Amy Laird. I'm the Director of Programs here at Covenant House. I've been here for a little over a year at this point, about a year and 4 months, and have been very excited to engage in this work and develop our program at CHIL. CHIL's philosophy around serving young people is we really focus on young people being the experts in their own lives. So when our young people come to our doors, we have an open intake process, which means that there's no barriers to housing for our young people. They come into our doors, they're welcomed, we meet their basic needs right away in terms of food or doing laundry services, all of their basic things that they might not have had for the period of time when they were experiencing homelessness until they got to our doors. We serve them with unconditional love and respect. We have a sanctuary community where it fosters a community of safety and stability and trust among our youth and our staff. And we operate from a trauma-informed lens and using a harm reduction perspective to make sure that our youth are served in the best way possible. Again, always acknowledging them as experts of their own lives and making sure that they are the guiders of their treatment plan and their facilitation when they're here to get to their next steps, be it more stable housing, employment, getting their legal documents, but really taking it step by step with them as the people who are guiding their treatment with us. CHIL's approach is unique in the sense of the diverse staff that we have, the different folks that we have that come from different backgrounds and different walks of life, folks that we have on staff that have lived experience of homelessness to be able to interact more positively with our youth and be able to engage in those experiences and understand. But CHIL also works with a collective of other homeless youth providers who really share a common passion in making sure that we're building our youth up in the same capacity. So when we transfer them from one program to another, that youth kind of knows what to expect along the way when they're looking at the kind of continuum of care that we provide as homeless providers here in the city. So I do think that we are definitely unique in terms of the different folks that we have on staff, the way that they can interact. Some of the programming that we have implemented is definitely unique to CHIL as well, but it's also a shared common goal among other homeless providers to make sure that we at CHIL are referring our young people to other providers that support the same philosophies that CHIL does. So success is really can be defined in many different ways. We have an efforts to outcome program, which is our ETO program, which documents all of the data that we do input on our youth. So certainly we have different measures of success that way in terms of how many youth we were able to get stably housed, how many youth we were able to help obtain employment and maintain employment, helping them achieve their educational goals. So those are actual numbers that we can really document in our ETO system. But in terms of measured success, certainly when we hear the stories of the youth, we make the connections with the youth and we build the relationships that we do, those are huge success stories in their own right that really impact the work that we do here at CHIL and really motivate us as staff to continue the work that we do and to support the young people that we serve. In all of my years working with people experiencing homelessness, I have primarily worked with this age group, 18 to 24, and it's such an important need in terms of where youth are coming from a younger age of 16 or 17 and usually still experiencing some sort of trauma or some sort of homelessness at that point, and expecting them to be able to engage and live in an adult setting can be a challenge for them. We know that the programming for different folks at different stages of life should be different to help them impact what they're doing at their current time. And also when we look at a person's brain and how it develops, we know that there's still quite a bit of development that's happening between that age range of 18 to 24 or 18. Right? I mean, the city of Chicago is, it's still pretty segregated in terms of where our young people come from and where their main communities are. The South and the West Side are still definitely the most problematic areas of the city, and there's still a lot of segregation that happens here. Most of our youth do come from those areas, and so haven't always had those same opportunities to grow and develop and have those different opportunities to achieve. I think when you look at, of course, racism, most of our young people are brown and black youth who come through our doors. So that's another huge barrier that our youth often face. I think in terms of employment and getting stable housing, I think one of the things when we look at stable housing, we're looking at trying to get an apartment for youth who are between the ages of 18 and 24 who probably have some negative impact on their credit, probably do not have a cosigner available to them, might have just had a stable job within the last 6 months, and all of those things are huge barriers for them to be able to achieve stability. So I think that those aren't necessarily always unique to Chicago, but I think the size and like I said, the segregation that still occurs in Chicago certainly contributes to the seriousness of homelessness with our young people experiencing homelessness. We did have a young woman here who, she was 20 years old. And she had a long history of trauma in her life, had a lot of complex trauma, had a history of abuse, had been experiencing homelessness for quite a long time, and was very tired of going from shelter to shelter. When she arrived at CHIL, she knew that her time was a little bit more limited with us than other housing programs, and she was very determined to not ever be in a shelter again after she left CHIL. And with the goals that she identified and the support systems that we were able to put in place, it was rocky. It was a rocky road, but we held in there with her. She had some issues throughout the time that she was concerned that she was going to get discharged from our program, and we didn't. It was the unconditional love that we showed her, that one day was difficult and the next day is a new day, and you're here, and we're still here with you, and we're here to support you and move you to your goals. So in each little step that we were able to take with this young person, she was able to build more trust with us along the way, to see that we were here for her and we were here on her side, and we were here to work with her and support her in the goals that she wanted to achieve. And when she left us, she was in a program to become a certified nursing assistant, and she transitioned to a stable housing program that was a 2-year program to be able to give her a little bit more support while she was able to complete her certificate and get into the job that she wanted, to lead to more stable housing and independence for herself in the future. It was a beautiful case for us to show, it was beautiful working with this young person to really show the consistency that you need to put in with these young people, that you need to be there to show up every single day. And even if the day before was difficult, or the day before was not as it was planned, or that particular person didn't achieve something on their case plan or on their goals, it's all right. The next day they did, and the next day they did, and they continued to make those steps over the time until they were able to successfully achieve their plan with us at CHIL and transition in a really healthy way to a new space. And it was a really positive experience with that young person. So, I mean, just our capacity alone, the capacity that we can increase alone is huge. That will have a significant impact in being able to serve the young people experiencing homelessness in Chicago, and really being able to reach a broader group of young people. We have a lot of exciting ideas for programming at this time. Workforce development, we have a program that has started, and we have an opportunity to really expand our workforce development program, which will be incredible. I think some of the work that I'm most excited about is some of the healthy living skills that we can bring into here and really model more. We have a commercial kitchen that we get to use, that we can really offer some amazing culinary opportunities. Not even if a youth wants to participate in the culinary opportunity, but just the opportunity to cook a really amazing meal for a youth, a very healthy meal, and really help them understand how that contributes to their overall well-being. We have some other partners that are coming in here to do some health-related things in terms of health clinics, and I'm very excited to have that started and have that on site with us. I think that will be instrumental in helping our youth connect with medical providers that they are usually not able to access and able to get to, both for transportation barriers, time barriers, insurance barriers, several things that makes it really difficult for them to access any type of care, be it a physical or mental health assessment or connecting with a psychiatrist. So those are probably the two services that I'm most excited about developing in the very near future. As referring to a person as a homeless person places a label on them rather than identifying that the experience of homelessness is the situation that they're in right now. Placing a label on somebody often makes it more difficult for that person to see hope, to be able to get out of it. They are just kind of always seen as a homeless person and always stuck in that setting, versus this is a moment in your life and this is an experience that you're dealing with, and we are here to help you get out of that situation and have a new experience in your life. So by changing those words even just a little bit really helps shift the thought process for folk, not only for the person that we're serving, but for folks who we're talking about, or talking about our programming with, to understand that this is a situation that this person is in, and absolutely a situation that they can get out of. Providing them hope is what's going to help motivate them to be able to get out of their situation.